Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. Arizona Cardinals defeat the New Orleans Saints 42-34. Everybody feeling a little better in Arizona with a win. Kyler, Cliff, Steve Kine, the GM. Everyone feeling just a little bit better. DeAndre Hopkins is back. 10 catch, 102 yards game. He looked crisp. We saw some motion, some modern movement from the offense that we've seen kind of trickling in 2022. Something that Cliff Kingsbury has stubbornly been against for some reason, even though it's a staple of the modern NFL to get matchups that way. Now he's incorporating it a bit more. I saw a lot of it today on Amazon Prime. If Hollywood Brown hadn't got hurt just tragically right before DeAndre Hopkins returned, we might actually be kind of pumped about the Cardinals this year. I don't know that I really am. The big story of this game really was on the Saints side. Andy Dalton, the 2 pick sixes near the end of the half, which is hilarious because Jameis Winston standing on the sideline going, yeah, that's, I never even done that. Jameis Winston's the king of the pick six. To be fair, one of them was Callaway's fault, not Andy Dalton's, but still, it was 2 pick sixes near the end of the half, and moments after Kirk Herbstreit called Dalton a calming presence, which is really more of a jab at Winston, I thought. But what a turn of events. What a turn of events at the end of the half there. It's 14-6. The Cardinals are losing. They haven't been able to move the ball all day. They get to the red zone. They score there, and then 2 pick sixes right after it, and it's 28-14. All of a sudden, like a minute and a half it goes by, and the Cardinals get to 20 unanswered points. Pretty crazy. But the Cardinals, the offense looked better, like I said, though I gave it all that credit for motion and stuff like that. That's a base expectation. And we're kind of squinting our eyes, kind of giving them the 14 points that the defense scored. We're like, 42 points. Like, oh, okay, hold up here. There's 2 touchdowns with the defense. And Kyler, just his awareness in the pocket is still worrisome. You can see exactly where this will go wrong when he plays a team that doesn't have all their players hurt, like the Saints do. And Cliff Kingsbury still can't get the plays in on time. Get the play in. It just absolutely baffles me. I know Cardinals fans are definitely with me on this. It's been happening all year. Kyler had a little meltdown at Cliff for this. Like, just, he can't call the play in time. They're burning timeouts every game because of this. But the win is a nice soothing ointment for now. The Saints, not so soothed as they go to 2-5. That's going to be tough unless the Buccaneers continue to plummet as well in the NFC South. Now, the big news right after the game. A report drops that it seems like this is all confirmed across many sources, that the Carolina Panthers have traded running back Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers. So that's all anybody's talking about right now. The Arizona-New Orleans result, old news. Christian McCaffrey has been traded to the San Francisco 49ers, and everyone's just trying to process it. And there's a lot of stuff to go around here. For one, what they did it for. McCaffrey goes to the 49ers with that big contract. The 49ers give up a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round pick in 2023 and a 5th round pick in 2024. So a lot of people are saying that's too much. And they're pointing out, Marshall Faulk, who was about the same age, also an elite running back, traded from the Colts to the Rams in, I think, 98. Must have been before the 99 season. And that was in a time that the running back was a much more valued commodity than it is today. And that was only a 2nd and a 5th. So here we have a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. However, it's not just all in the vacuum. It's all about what you're willing to pay, supply and demand, right? So I don't know that I necessarily subscribe to that. The other big point that people are making And this has been something I've wanted to talk about in the 49ers preview, is they make a good running game out of anything. Spare parts, 6th-round picks, undrafted free agents, Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida, Elijah Mitchell. Why do they continue to spend at the position? They brought in Jerick McKinnon as a high-priced free agent. They're drafting running backs in the 3rd round last 2 years. And now they're bringing in this big Christian McCaffrey contract. So it is a legitimate point. Why do the 49ers, who should theoretically be the team that understands you don't really need high running back talent to have a great running back and have a great running game, why do they keep spending? My theory is that Kyle Shanahan is just forever chasing 1998 Terrell Davis. Like his father before him. Hey, the Broncos run game back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it worked great when Gary Anderson was in there. It worked great when Mike Anderson was in there. But it was Super Bowl winning when Terrell Davis was in there. And I feel like they're just always chasing that. Arian Foster in 2010 may be another guy that Kyle Shanahan's thinking about, since he coached those or offensive coordinated those Texans teams with Arian Foster, and we know how dominant those teams were. I mean, they didn't have Super Bowl success, but Foster put up a bunch of good numbers. Also, maybe there's just kind of a personal connection here. Going back again to those late 90s Broncos, the Mike Shanahan Denver Broncos, Kyle Shanahan's dad, one of the receivers on that team, Ed McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's dad. It's just funny. Like, as Kyle Shanahan as a teenager, Christian McCaffrey's a young toddler, they were presumably skipping around in the 1997, 1998 confetti with John Elway and Neil Smith and Shannon Sharp, Rod Smith, and Steve Atwater, So there's a nostalgic connection there for them, and McCaffrey comes home to California, where he was, of course, a star at Stanford. So there's a lot of angles here. Going to be fun to see how it figures out. As a Seahawks fan, I ain't pleased. All right, Mukilteo Football Show. The show is football everything. NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of a season. Follow us at MUK_football on Twitter or YouTube. Subscribe, share, review on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts. We have shows Thursday after Thursday Night Football, Sunday after Sunday Night Football, and Monday after Monday Night Football. So today, the show is all about previewing Week 7. I'm going to take 4 games, pick them against the spread. I'm now 16-8 for the season against the spread. Back-to-back weeks of 2-2. Maybe I can just ride the 2-2 to a winning record. That's my only goal. My goal is just to simply be above 500 after Week 18. All right, first game. Atlanta Falcons travel in to the Cincinnati jungle to face the Bengals. Now, the Bengals, all the headlines, right? Burrow and Chase took over that game last week in Louisiana, their old stomping grounds. They beat the Saints. They went shotgun. They stopped pretending that they're some bully ball running team, and they dominated. Well, they didn't dominate. They came back, I should say. They put up some good offensive numbers. But I was kind of disappointed in the Bengals' defense last week, that they got so beaten up by the Andy Dalton Saints and without their top receivers. And I've made no secret, I've been shouting this from the rooftops and banging the drum, the Bengals defense is the source of their success last year. They're the true reason for their 2021 Super Bowl appearance, especially the playoff run. So I was disappointed in the defense that the Saints were able to do this. So picking this game is really all about this decision. Do I believe the Falcons can push around the Bengals, or do I believe the Falcons won't do that and the Bengals defense will bounce back? And after all, Mariota was Offensive Player of the Week in Week 6. Going purely by stats, I guess. No, he wasn't, but whatever. He did have a touchdown to Kyle Pitts, which I suppose is worth commemorating. I'm gonna take the cowardly way out here. I think that the Bengals will bring the Mariota Falcons back to reality after beating the 49ers, and they're high on their run game even without Patterson. I think the Bengals defense will clamp down But I also don't think the Bengals offense is necessarily back or that it ever really existed as an elite unit in the first place. I know that's sort of a controversial thing, but I think the Bengals win this ugly. The 6.5 win, or the 6.5 line is too rich for my blood. So I'm going to take the Falcons to cover that 6.5. All right, next game. The Indianapolis Colts travel to the Tennessee Titans. Amazing. This is their last matchup. They played in week 3, right? So Colts Titans is done after this. Sorry, everybody. I mean, I believe in the Titans. I don't know why I believe in the Titans. Like last October, we were talking about the Tennessee riddle, right? Like how have the Titans just beaten the Bucks, the Bills? I'm sorry, the Bills, Chiefs, and Rams, basically right in a row. That's what we were talking about last year. This year too, it feels like they're not doing good, but they're on a 3-game winning streak here. Bye week last week, but before that, 3 games in a row, and they'd be 4-1 if Randy Bullock made a 47-yard field goal in week 1. So I don't know. I still believe in the Titans, but I just don't know why I believe them. And then the Colts are equally confounding. They feel like they have a fork in them. The lingering, memories and echoes of shamefully tying the Texans in week 1 and then being shut out by the Jaguars in week 2. Yet here are the Colts. They're at 3-2-1, which some call a winning record. I don't. I call that a neutral record because a tie is a loss to me because this is America, okay? We play to win, not to tie. This isn't soccer. A tie is a loss. So yeah, I believe in the Titans. I don't know why. The Colts feel like they have a fork in them, but they don't actually. Is this AFC South football? Am I having fun? Man. Okay, so the line is Tennessee favored by 2.5. And I think I'm going to just kind of flip it, basically, and say, like, last time the Titans won the battle of elite running backs, right? Derrick Henry had 114 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor had his worst game of the year, 20 carries for 40 yards. Taylor should be back for this game. Henry isn't looking that good, not popping off the screen to me like he did for 2.5 years. I'm going to take the Colts on the upset here. Take the Colts to beat the Tennessee 2.5. All right, next game. The Kansas City Chiefs travel to the San Francisco 49ers. Presumably they'll be touching down at the same time as Christian McCaffrey touches down. I doubt he'll be playing in this game. Boy, it's going to be crazy that Jimmy Garoppolo will have McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle to get him yards after catch, and therefore passing yards that people spout without any context about how good Jimmy Garoppolo is. He sucks, by the way. I don't know why. I just don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, even though he seems like a legitimately good guy. It's the same thing with Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater seems like the nicest guy, and yet I don't like him as a football player. Just weird. Okay, this is Super Bowl rematch from 2019, and I love Super Bowl rematches. I love just seeing the uniform combinations because I love the Super Bowl. I love the playoffs. It's very important to me. We had 49ers Broncos, in week 3, that was the 89 Super Bowl. We had Patriots Packers week 4, that was 96 Super Bowl. Chiefs Bucks. We had Vikings Dolphins last week. We had Ravens Giants last week, 73 2000. And then this is kind of the last Super Bowl rematch for a while. I was kind of looking at the schedule, prepping for this podcast, and there wasn't really another one until, I guess, Chargers 49ers, which is later on down in November. So, this is one of our last chances to see uniforms, clanging together that have played in a Super Bowl. I don't know. That's a weird thing, right? I don't know why it matters to me. Like last year, sometimes I don't even know, I don't even make the conscious connection that this is a Super Bowl rematch. And then I'm just pleased about the matchup and I'm just enjoying watching it. And I'm like, why do I like this so much? It happened with the Bengals 49ers last year. And I was like, oh, because this was a Super Bowl. I don't know. All right. Kansas City, San Francisco. Even though this was only 2 years ago, it's very different. There's no Tyreek Hill for a miracle throw. There's no Sammy Watkins burning Richard Sherman. There's no Damian Williams for the Chiefs. DeForest Buckner is gone. It's just amazing turnover in the NFL. But it is still Mahomes and it is still Garoppolo. So that's going to be interesting. The Chiefs are favored by 3 in the 49ers house. The 49ers were beaten to hell last week. Nick Bosa, Trent Williams might be back. Eric Armstead, Hufanga, Charvarius Ward, probably not. I saw a Chiefs coach said the injury report always seems to make it back against the Chiefs. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think the 49ers defense is really at full strength. And therefore, they're just not going to have a good time with Pat Mahomes and the healthy weapons around him. If the 49ers defense, if they had Eric Armstead, and if I can be assured that Nick Bosa is truly back, and maybe Javon Kinlaw, I think he's coming back, then I might be a little worried for the Chiefs because that offensive line isn't doing quite as good as last year. And the 49ers defensive line, of course, is what is actually going to drive them to the Super Bowl if they do go there. So I'll take the Chiefs to cover, but I'm just like hedging myself saying if the 49ers defensive line dominates the game, don't be surprised. All right, last game. The Chicago Bears go to New England Patriots on Monday Night Football. And I know, people are like, what? You're not going to talk about Steelers-Dolphins on Sunday Night Football? It's a way better matchup than Bears-Patriots. And yeah, I agree. That's also a high line as well in favor of the Dolphins. But this game, most people are talking about like Mac Jones maybe coming back versus Bailey Zappi. I don't care. What I love about this Monday night game between the Chicago Bears and the New England Patriots is just the interesting chance for the Chicago Bears to do something for their Papa Bear, for George Halas. Bill Belichick and George Halas now tied in career head coaching wins at 324. That's still behind Don Shula. Bears, you can keep Belichick from passing George Halas. I mean, not forever, but for 1 week. For 1 week, you can do something for George Papa Bear Halas, and that's cool. I like that. The key figure in the 1920 founding of the NFL. A 10-year player, a 40-year coach, a 63-year owner of the Chicago Bears, George Papa Bear Halas. Do something for him. Do something for him in 2022. He deserves it. He evolved the game, the T formation. He crushed the Washington Redskins 73-0 in the 1940 NFL title game. Poland was invaded at that time. And George Halas is crushing the Redskins 73-0. To be fair to Halas, he then joined the Navy at like 45 or something like that for World War II. And Halas is a big reason why we are enjoying football today. He was a big leader in the revenue sharing part, sharing his revenue in the big city of Chicago with the smaller teams, being an advocate for the whole television contract thing. And he was, a great coach as well. He won the title in 40, and then his last title was 63. So he won a title in 63 after Jim Brown and Johnny Unitas and all that stuff. So, that's 43 years after he was part of the founding for the NFL. My point is, Bill Belichick loves this stuff. You know it. And this is something. The Bears pull one more out for old Papa Bear. Go to New England, delay the inevitable, just give us a shred of little NFL history, just nudge right there. For one of the charter members of the NFL Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick would begrudgingly respect it. Bears, protect the Papa Bear. One more week. Patriots favored by 7.5. I'll take the Patriots. All right. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Miles, and we'll see you Sunday night.